Hi everyone, welcome back. I wanted to start by just thanking everyone who has subscribed to my channel recently and who's watched my videos and that helped me get over the actual hurdle to get to the number of subscribers I needed in order to keep myself as a YouTube partner. I really appreciate all of your help and it means a lot to me, and so I definitely just wanted to start by saying thank you. I passed that milestone while I was on my trip in New Zealand. It was definitely a relief because there wasn't much I could do to, do any additional posting or anything while I was out of the country. So thank you again for all of your support, and I wanted to go through today a little bit about how I'm kind of re-entering into real life after being away for 2 weeks. Pretty much when I'm on vacations like this, I don't plan, I just we have, where we're going, where we're staying, kind of how we're getting there, but that's about it. I'm not doing any daily planning. In fact, if we come back here and look at the weeks that I was gone, you'll see there's nothing here. It's just completely blank. And I'm fine with that. It's vacation. I, don't have any specific plans that I'm working on. All I'm trying to do is just relax and enjoy myself. And I know you guys have, if you've watched videos before, I've seen this, the page I had on initially. This is my checklist for resetting at work. And I did actually stop by the office yesterday briefly on my way home from the airport. And I had a few things I needed to get done. I had to do payroll, I had to pay some bills that were due immediately, like in the next few days, and I needed to sign checks because all of our check signers were gone. But that was all I did, and I'm not going back until Monday. Today is Thursday. I got in on Wednesday. I literally slept just 1 hour on the plane flight back in a span of 24 hours, and so last night I slept for 15. Needless to say, I'm feeling a little bit more alert and awake today. Otherwise, I might have tried to film this last night, but there was no way. Not a chance. I was not making sense and I was barely awake. So based on my list about resetting at work, I'm starting to work on a post-vacation reset list. This is an idea that was kind of coming to mind as I was trying to re-gear my brain into being in real life again. So the order of this will probably change, but this is what I've come up with so far. First thing is adding appointments back to the dailies. So we came back in on a Wednesday. Let me flip to that. So I think Sunday night maybe I sat down and filled in some of this stuff. So I put in my flight information. I looked ahead for the rest of the week and looked to see, what appointments do I have? Pretty much, I want to go to church on Sunday and I have a meeting for a group I'm helping coordinate an event with. That's on Sunday evening. So those were the only events that I had. The next thing I did is I looked at my reoccurring tasks. If you've watched videos before, I have kind of a routine checklist back here in the front. That's just my weekly routine, things that I do. So, house cleaning, things when I plan what I'm doing each day. So I basically took the week's information and divided it up amongst the rest of the days. So I knew when I got home on Wednesday, I'd want to unpack my suitcase and maybe start a load of laundry. That didn't happen. I just dumped everything in the laundry. And then these were the things I needed to do while I was at work briefly. So basically Thursday, I pulled most of the stuff that I normally do on Wednesdays and a few of the things that I normally do on Saturdays, namely grocery shopping and meal planning. I do need to plan what we're doing for the rest of the week as far as food, and then go grocery shopping because we either finished off or threw out whatever was left since we were going to be gone. So our refrigerator is a little empty right now. And then I had bills I needed to pay. I paid as much as I could before I left, but then I had a few that were due coming up soon. Obviously I need to do laundry. So you'll see a lot of these are kind of my normal Wednesday things. I'm just doing them a day late. I have a few things I need to refill or replace in my travel items. I am going to be traveling again for work in the coming months several times, so I need to make sure I have that ready to go. I pretty much just always keep my toiletries bag in my suitcase ready to go at a moment's notice. And then I also had, and I'll show these to you in a few minutes, I also had some ideas on how I wanted to change travel inserts based on the ones that I had purchased earlier this year, and it doesn't quite fit what I need, so I think I'm going to create my own. So that's the recurring tasks, and then Saturday and Sunday I'd put in the normal recurring tasks that I have aside from the ones that I put here. So the next thing on the list is listing meals and prep for the remaining week. I have not done that yet. I will. I had a few things I ran out of at the end of my trip, so I need to do that. So I'll come through and make a menu for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Probably won't be anything extravagant, but I don't know yet because I haven't looked at that. I need to check the mail, make sure I don't have any bills that I haven't already taken care of, and anything that I need to do. Same thing with email, checking my email, getting it to 0, which I did actually was pretty good about keeping it at 0, but I was just throwing most stuff into the process box. So I need to go through that process box and make sure I don't have any to-dos that I need to know about. When I do find them, I will put them back here in my to-do list, which I did add a couple of things that occurred to me while I was gone. I have a pair of pearl stud earrings with a pearl popped off, so I need to fix those. And then Allie Edwards came out with some Project Life inserts and a planner, a few things like that. I don't necessarily want to do a whole separate planner, but I thought there might be some value in creating my own inserts that would let me record information if I'm traveling or if I have anything that I want to write down, because I would like to get back into that again. Then the next thing I'll do is check my momentum planner and to-do lists and see if there's anything I need to put in this week. There may be some stuff like fixing the pearl earrings won't actually take very long. I have a couple of classes that started while I was on vacation that were online, so I want to go ahead and get those started. Yeah, so I'll check that to-do list and move those things on days where I think they might get done. The other thing I want to do is come up with a list of what I call post-vacation to-dos. I think I have a list somewhere of things I usually do before we go on vacation. I need to actually get those as an actual list as well. So things like packing when we leave and unpacking when we come back, putting the water heater on vacation mode and then turning it back to normal, grocery shopping, laundry. So those sorts of things that I seem to always do before we leave, and I usually have them written down. I should have them actually here so I can go back through the to-dos that I created. Things like taking the dogs for nail trims, refilling travel bottles, giving the dogs a bath, editing the pet sitter info because we use a pet sitter and they have an online system. So those sorts of things I'll want to create an actual routine task list and put that in here. So that should actually show up at some point in the future, and most likely I'll put that as part of my travel inserts. And then also figuring out the workouts for the remaining week. I did not work out this morning, but I also slept in quite a bit because I was tired. But Friday, potentially Saturday, I'll probably write down what I want to do as far as workouts go and then figure out what I'm going to be starting this next week. So that will actually, next week will probably come as a part of the weekly review planning on Saturday, but as long as I'm thinking about it, I may go ahead and do it now. So that's kind of what my post-vacation reset is looking like right now. There may be a few things get added to it. Essentially, it's kind of like a weekly review, but it's done midweek. I'll probably be using this sort of information here from my weekly review and maybe a few things from the daily review, but that's what that post-vacation reset is looking like right now. Now, as far as the travel inserts go, this is what I'm looking at, and I will apologize. These are very hen-scratched because I was just sketching out based on blank inserts that I had. And based on the font, I'd say these are Annie Plans Printables inserts that I am going to be using and modifying from. So the first thing is just having a destination and having a spot for that, the date that we depart and return, how many days it is. And then I think I want a checkbox section. So whether it's a domestic or international trip, whether it's business or vacation / holiday, and then checkboxes for beach / pool, hiking, formal, other. So I'll know if I need to bring a swimsuit, if I need to bring hiking boots, if I need to bring, a formal dress. Transportation to the airport, whether we're self-parking, taking a taxi or an Uber or a shuttle, and then trip transportation, whether we're doing public transportation, a rental car, or whether we'll have our own car. This will be good for planning purposes, just so I know if I've checked rental car, I'll know I need to make sure I have a rental car reservation. So when we're just starting to plan the trip, I think that will be helpful for me knowing what all it is that I need to plan. And then as far as flight info, we'll have a spot for the flight there and a spot for the flight back, and then legs of the trip. So like the first part, when we depart, when we arrive, what airline and flight number, confirmation number, and then maybe a checkbox for customs. So that way I know when you first leave and take that international flight. So say for example on our last trip, we went from San Diego to San Francisco to Auckland. So we went through customs on leg 2 of the trip. Now if I'd been paying attention and had checked this customs box, I could double check and see what our layover was between the 2 flights and realized that if we were going through customs, actually, I take that back. We went through customs when we got to Auckland, and then we had another flight that went to Queenstown from there. So we went through customs on the second leg, and we only had an hour and a half between the second and third leg of the flight. That was not enough time, and we ended up pushing back our third flight. But knowing what point I'm going through customs, and then being able to double check as I'm making my reservations to know, hey, I need to make sure I have at least 3 hours for this layover. Same thing with return flight. Whatever point you first come back into the United States, that's when you go through customs. So I would have very similar information here. Likely I will probably have 3 sections, maybe 4. I don't think I'd ever have more than 4 flights to get someplace. You never know. I think 4 is the most I've ever had, and that was when we were flying to Jerusalem. Actually, I think it was Tel Aviv we flew into, and that was a long time ago, 2000. So then in the next section, I would like to have a spot for rental car information. So what agency it is, what type of car we've reserved, what the rate was that we were quoted, the confirmation number, phone number. So that way, if we have any questions beforehand or even while we're on our trip, we have all that. Maybe a spot for parking and shuttle information. So if we've made a reservation and the number of days maybe that we have reserved for parking, we have that. And probably some more similar information. That's what I have right now. But if I can think of anything else that we might need to have confirmation numbers for, I might add, actually, while I'm thinking about it, because the other reason I usually travel is for meeting or convention. So having the dates of the actual convention, so if I'm staying before or after, maybe the location, if there's some sort of confirmation number that I have, putting that information here. So then the next section that I really want to have is, and it's a little bit based off of the travel-themed Traveler's Notebook. If you haven't watched that, I will link that video below. It has something similar to this in it each day. So for each day, having the date, the weather that's expected, where we're staying, the confirmation number, address, and phone number, having either a list or, I haven't decided, probably just a section to write them down. So either meetings and appointments or excursions and tours, depending on whether it's a business trip or a personal trip. Having check boxes with a line for the number of professional outfits needed, the number of casual outfits needed, the number of formal, and then other. So that way, let's say for example, I'm at a National Apartment Association meeting and I have to have a professional outfit for the day. We have a formal event at night, then I can put 1 professional, 1 formal. And then what I can do is add these up for each day and know how many of each types of outfits I need to have. And then over on the right side, having an expenses section. I don't necessarily keep track of expenses for work, but realizing that if I decide to list these in the future, then I would have that for people that do. So the hotel rate, money spent on food, and then having a section for total expenses. And actually I might add a transportation section. So if you've taken taxis or something like that, there's a spot to note that down. So then just repeating that for each day. I don't think you'd need much more than 1/3 of a page. I might be wrong. Maybe a 1/2 a page, so you could get 2 pages per day, but it would just kind of repeat. I would likely go ahead and include a page that's expenses, just in case I would like to track that for some reason. Probably I would make it double-sided, so it would be something that I don't have to print, and I would put it at the end. And then doing my own packing list. I think on Instagram I posted a picture of the packing list that I usually use. It's from knockknock.com, I think, but it was a pre-printed list, but you could tell it was quite old because it had things like PDAs, so the personal device, I can't remember what it stands for, personal device assistant or something like that. Basically what the Palm Pilots used to be called. And like film for your camera, I understand some people still use film cameras, but there were some other indications that it was kind of an older checklist. So I'd like to create my own and probably divide it up. So casual outfits, professional outfits, formal outfits, international section, and then just having like a section at the top that's either other or stuff you're going to bring no matter what. Like I'm always going to need to bring underwear. I'm always going to need to bring socks. I'm always going to need to bring pajamas and my toiletries. So having it broken down that way. And if I've gone through and planned out what I'm doing each day, I would know I would need, say, 5 professional outfits. So then knowing that, I would probably have a spot here where I could indicate the total number, say 5. And then I can plan out what it is that I'm bringing to make sure I have enough plus 1 or 2 extra. Because invariably I always get up that morning, and if I've only packed packed just enough and I don't have, say, an extra shirt or something, I'm like, I don't feel like wearing this. So I like to bring at least one extra thing that lets me switch it up enough that I'm okay with wearing what it is that I brought. So that is what I'm looking at as far as travel inserts go. And when I get them finished, I'll show them to you guys. But I've never been able to find travel inserts that I just really love and that really work with what I need, because I do a combination of business and personal travel, and I'd like to find something I can use for both. And it isn't just based on either business or professional, which the inserts seem to be tailored to one or the other, but not both. So that's kind of where my brain went after having just been on a trip and trying to cobble together different types of inserts to plan. I think that I want to make my own. So anyway, hopefully this has been helpful. I know a couple of you are planning on doing trips and they were interested in hearing on what my post-vacation reset was starting to look like. And that's the other thing I want to make sure I add is the pre-post checklist. So that will be something else I'll put in here, which was this, packing and unpacking, changing the temperature on the water heater, making sure everything's unplugged before we leave, and then plugging things back in, because last night I plugged my cell phone in the charger next to my bed and had forgotten that I had unplugged it before I left, so everything died overnight, which is probably the other reason I slept 15 hours, is because I didn't have anything to wake me up. So little things like that, especially when I'm completely brain dead like I was last night, to have a checklist just to run through and make sure we've done everything or know that we need to do something soon. So that's where this stands, and I will type these up when I get them done, and you'll probably see them fairly soon in a future planner update. Probably when I do my March planner update, I'll show you what I've come up with. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you next time.